I'm not a guru. I haven't made it. I haven't experienced a crazy amount of success to the point where you should listen to every word I say and implement it in your life. This is out of the lens of this is what has worked for me up until 29 to go from fat, depressed, and broke to 3 successful businesses, over 1.3 million in sales, and I paid a 6-figure tax bill this year. Now, a couple years ago, I was fat, broke, depressed, and my life was on a terrible trajectory. Now it is not. So what I see in the marketplace is there's wonderful influencers that are worth 9 figures. Alex Hormozi, Dan Martell, Gary Vee, Ed Milet, Tom Bilyeu, all of these guys that are wonderful. But what I found was there's very few people making content that are at that 6-figure, just hitting 7-figure mark, documenting it along the way because that feels more tangible. That's what this video is. This is what catapulted my income, my personal life, my mental health, and everything in 2024. And it comes down to these 5 things if I had to sum it up. Number 1, the more I gave without expectation of anything in return, the better my life got across the board. This is in friendships. This is with family. Most importantly, to me this year, this was professionally. The more I gave people in the form of my Home Service Accelerator business, the more I overserved and over-delivered to people, the more money I made. I started Home Service Accelerator in January. We didn't have a 5-figure sales month until I think May, and we processed about $450,000 in sales from just that business this year at a decent margin. That business quite literally makes people more money. I give people the opportunity to make more money implementing the things that I already have done in both of my home service businesses. I created a network of people that have a buildup of goodwill towards me. That same mindset goes into my personal life, my friendships, my relationships, everything else. The more I gave, the more money I made. Same thing happens in the actual businesses as well. Number 2, taking imperfect action when I didn't have all of the steps perfectly lined up made me a lot more successful than planning and watching YouTube videos of more successful people and mentally M-wording and disguising it as work. You've probably watched all of the YouTube videos you need. You've probably watched and listened to all of the podcasts you need. At a certain point, you have to realize that you're not going to have all of the steps planned out. In 2021, I was picking up people's garbage for them for my junk removal business. That was not the 30-year plan. That was the means to an end at that moment that I knew was imperfect action. But what it did is it made me more cash in hand. It gave me a bunch of experience and it actually showed me what I didn't want to do long term and gave me more clarity on how to get out of that situation. I'm telling you, watching 15 Alex Hormozi videos is not going to make you more money. Watch 1 or 2 of them and then go do something. That's what I did. Take it from someone that did that. And I thought that that was work over a long period of time. I got the dopamine rush and the feel-good chemicals in my brain of watching all of this entrepreneur content and thinking that that was moving the ball across for me. Take it from someone who spent 2 to 3 years watching every Alex Hormozi video, every Ed Milet video, you name it, every positive influencer out there, which was fantastic content to fill my brain. But at a certain point, I watched everything I needed and I was just mentally masturbating, for lack of a better term. That is not work. It's wonderful to get ideas from that and get inspiration from that, but you'll be better off cutting your watch time of influencers like me and everyone else down by 50% or even 75% and filling that time with actually executing on something, even if it's an imperfect plan. Doing something will trump the planning stage that you've been in for years. That's at least what worked for me. Number 3, you probably aren't depressed, have an anxiety disorder, or anything else. I'm not trying to shy away from people who do have a clinical disorder. I'm just saying what I thought was depression, anxiety, and everything else was me having a lack of purpose and a lack of energy expenditure. When I was picking up people's garbage for them, when I was hanging people's Christmas lights with a gorilla ladder in the back of my Ford Fusion 4 years ago, that was never depressing. When I was busy, I was not depressed. When I was coming home and putting my head on the pillow, tired from the day, putting in work, even though it was imperfect work and not the most efficient work at that time, I felt way better. I have not been bored in 2 or 3 years. I have not felt the feeling of depression in probably 2 or 3 years now. I have not felt the anxiety of not doing enough because I fill my day with action. That is what helped me. I'm sorry if that ruffles the feathers of the mental health community. I am a pro mental health, especially for men guy. I am pro talking about it. I'm pro communicating your feelings. I am pro all of that. But at a certain point, a lot of people just need to pick themselves up by their bootstraps and do something. That's in the gym. That's cleaning up your diet. That's doing some form of action. Number 4, when I fixed my health, my wealth paced shortly after. I am telling you, when I was fat, and I was fat, multiple chins, I did not have the energy to do what I do now. I did not have the desire to do what I do now because I was filling my body with terrible food. I was vaping. I was using every nicotine product in the book. I was drinking far too much. And I was sitting there feeling sorry for myself because I don't get attention from women the way I did in high school and college. I'm telling you, when you fix your health, you will be shocked at how different your mindset and your self-esteem actually plays out into your professional work. It is insane. When I walk into a room professionally now, I am treated differently. I'm sorry if that offends people. That's the gross reality of our society. If you look like a slob, people subconsciously and a lot of people consciously do not take you as seriously. Because in their mind, they're going, that person cannot take care of themselves. There's clearly an asterisk next to whatever I'm gleaning in terms of value from them because they clearly can't take care of this certain function of their life. I'm sorry if that offends anybody. That's just the gross and honest truth about the way the world works. For example, in the off season, I go speak at conferences about 3 or 4 times every off season to home service business owners. A lot of the stuff I was saying at those conferences 2 or 3 years ago, I was saying similar stuff, but I don't think my energy was received the same way. And I think it probably was a combination of I didn't look the part per se, but I also didn't have the self-confidence I have now. And I think that that energy is conveyed to a lot of people subconsciously. What has been an interesting development for me personally is a lot of my self-confidence came from getting my health in order, but also doing the inputs in my day-to-day and keeping promises to myself that I know very few men on planet Earth are doing. Number 5, I'm very anti follow your passion and hobbies as a career. I'm not passionate about Christmas lights. I'm not passionate about junk removal. I am passionate about building something. What I thought was an income generator in the beginning has become a passion project because of the things I wasn't even aware of that would bring me joy and meaning outside of just making money. I hire a ton of my friends. I've hired my friends' spouses. I employ 30-something people in my Christmas light business, close to 10 in the accelerator business, and a handful in the junk removal business as well. The ability to build something that feeds other people became a passion for me. I also became a lot more philanthropic when I started making more money. I'm more generous when I go out to restaurants and leave tips. I'm more generous when I give Christmas gifts to my family. I'm more generous when I give bonuses to my employees that weren't expecting them, that help them bring their family's dreams closer to reality. I have employees that are buying houses from the bonuses and the compensation that the businesses that I have built have helped pay them. That is a passion for me now. What started as an income generator has now morphed into that. Take Home Service Accelerator, for example. I've had people's wives call me and tell me that they were begging their husband to go get a new 9-to-5 because their business wasn't working out, and then we fixed it for them. I made money from that transaction and got that as a bonus. That, to me, fills my cup. That makes me more passionate about that. Scott Galloway, who's built multiple 8- and 9-figure businesses, has a quote, and I'm probably paraphrasing a bit, where he says, rich people who have already made it tell poor people who haven't that they need to follow their passions for their careers, when the majority of them did not even take their own advice. But once they had the money and had the resources to build wealth and follow their passions, then it's really easy to tell other people to follow their passions. In my experience, you will find passion and meaning from putting in the work on something and taking imperfect action. The passion will come from perfection and building a new set of skills. I don't pretend that every word coming out of my mouth is gospel. This has just worked for me. I've never been more fulfilled in my life. I've never been more financially secure. And I've never felt more meaning when both of my feet touch the ground in the morning when I get out of bed than I do now. I do not have the answers, but I do have more answers than I did 3 and 4 years ago. So I hope this helps. And if you guys want to see other content, a lot of it is geared towards home service and blue collar businesses. Please feel free to watch this channel, subscribe, comment, message me, and I'm happy to just have a conversation that way. And you can also find me on Instagram. It's at Steve_hunsaker. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this helps.